Hey everybody, welcome to Fixed Rate Unplugged. So one thing I forgot to mention in the last episode or two was who actually came up with the name that we finally decided on, which was Fixed Rate Unplugged, where we talk about HVAC, life, and more. And it was actually Neil here who came up with the name. I was actually looking back this morning trying to figure out, who it was that came up with it, and that's it was somebody on our team. So we'll do something special for Neil. I got to figure out what that's going to be. But I'm really happy to share Neil with y'all today. Many of you know Neil. I mean, he's been in the county forever. He's probably been to many of your houses if you're one of our clients. One of the top guys in the industry. He hates it when I say that, but it's true. So I'll embarrass him here on the podcast. But one of the things that I'm really thankful for is before Neil and I actually teamed up, we would actually give work back and forth to each other. We both kind of have a unique perspective on the HVAC industry. Most people are so, I won't say they have the scarcity mindset where they think every client has got to be theirs. Well, Neil and I were never like that. We knew that there's more clients in this area than either one of us could handle. So whenever we could get to somebody, we wanted to share, another person that we trusted that would take good care of them. So there were many times we sent people back and forth. I remember one time there were like seven contractors bid on this job. And people were saying different things on the internet, like you should call this person, you should call this person. And I remember Neil actually recommended, he's like, you should call Fixed Rate. So I was just blown away that here I had another HVAC contractor. Like it was one thing just to kind of share people back and forth through phone calls, but to actually put it on the internet, it meant a lot to me. And again, reason being is because this guy, he's like Honest Abe. He will not tell a lie. You might not always like the answer, but you can always count on Neil to tell you exactly what he's thinking. And he's just a special person who I'm thankful to call friend now. And he's just added so much to our team since us, joining up. So I know I'm kind of going on a little bit longer than usual on the intro, but this man definitely deserves it. So hope you all get some good value out of a lot of wisdom that this guy's got to share. So. First of all, thanks for joining me, sir.
Well, thank you for all the kind words and everything. I enjoy being here. I'll tell you, it was a big change in my life and everything because having my own business for 20 years and everything and having all the stress and all the pressure on me got overwhelming at times. I did 4 years of 7 days a week, 12-hour days where I never even saw my family. My wife and kids went on vacation without me, so I didn't have a whole lot of life. And then, like I said, 3 years ago, my wife passed away from cancer, and me and you started talking about, doing stuff together. And probably the best change I ever made in my life was coming to work here because literally it took a lot of the burden off me, a lot of pressure off me and everything. And I actually can do what I do best and everything is fixing problems, solving problems, and dealing with people. Because the financial side of the business of payroll and, and HR and that stuff, I never enjoyed that side anyhow. I enjoyed problem solving, I love people, I love fixing problems, and that's what I do best. So I actually can do what I do best here and not worry about collecting money and chasing down people and hiring and firing and, the stuff that, you do every day and everything that's not enjoyable at all, but it's still part of the business. So like I said, so it was a awkward change at first because I was a control freak. And so to give up some of that control and everything was hard for me in the beginning and timing too. I lost my wife and changed career, I changed places and y'all were so good to me during that process and everything because I had a physical change in my life and everything where I lost my spouse after 30 years. And then I had a business that I had for 20 years. And so I had a lot of changes at one time. And this whole company was so patient with me and dealt with me so well that I was so pleasantly surprised because even recently and everything, I get treated like family here and not just at work, but y'all are so concerned about me being happy in my personal life and making sure that people treat me well. And I never realized that this was a family until y'all really showed me how much a family y'all are. Y'all truly do care about me. And it actually is seen, it's shown, and I greatly appreciate all y'all.
Oh, thank you, buddy. It's this. I'm going to speak to the audience for a second because something you just said. I wasn't sure if Stacy passing was going to come up as in this or not. One, I'm sorry I never got a chance to meet her. One time I wanted to as we started talking more, but she was already kind of in the battling phase, for lack of better words, and said, look, that's not when Stacy would want to meet somebody. So I definitely respected that, appreciated that. But a couple things. Number one, I know she had to be a very special lady, just as much as you talk about her and Chris and just just the stories you shared with me about how sweet she was, but yet how tough she could be too. And
Yeah.
you could always count on her to put you in your place. Like
Oh
if
yeah,
you're,
it is like I said. I've been a martial artist my whole life and everything, and the whole martial artist sign is yin and yang. It's hot and cold. Strong and weak. And she was my opposite of me and everything, where she was strong, I was weak, and vice versa. And so when I got out of line and I stepped out of line, she had no problem putting me in my place. And that's what we need. Sometimes we all need a reality check. Because when we get out of hand and everything, if she doesn't humble me, God would humble me. And that was the amazing part is, like I said, she did a great job of humbling me.
yeah, that's all. I know she's a special lady. The other thing I wanted to share, the reason I wanted to mention, to people listening, is one of the things that Neil shared with me is we were really getting close to figuring out how us teaming up, what that was going to look like. So Neil said, "Look, I've got one ultimatum." I said, "Okay, whatever it was, we were going to make happen because I really wanted, Neil on the team." So I was expecting, okay, it's going to be some big dollar amount, certain, what's this getting ready to come my way? He said, "My ultimatum is you have to come out of the on-call schedule." Like, I have to what? He said, "Yes, since I lost my wife, it's important to me that you spend time with your family on weekends, stuff like that." So and I already knew you were an amazing person, and you just proven that over and over again. But for that to be an ultimatum on what it would take for you to team up was me spending more time with my family. You have no idea how much that meant to me then and now and going forward.
Because people don't realize, and it sucks that you have to lose somebody in life to give you perspective. But after losing my wife and everything, it's like, man, all these moments and everything while I spent working, I could have spent with my wife and my family. And it's like, I don't want you to ever have to regret those moments. It's like, okay, the mistakes that I made, I don't think I can't go back. But if I can sit there and help other people, not make the same mistakes repetitively that I did before, like I said, that's the best life lesson that I can teach people is I was far from perfect and everything, but something, I'm always evolving and trying to become a better person. And if I can teach those life lessons, like, spend time with Michelle and the kids and have a life, because like I said, nothing's promised. My wife passed away at 50 years old, which is really young. And like I said, I wish I'd have spent more time, taking more vacations and stuff like that, because everybody thinks about tomorrow, but like I said, sometimes you gotta live for today also.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't know what people can or can't see from heaven, but I gotta believe that Stacy's very proud of you now. So again, you just thank the world of you, buddy. So I'm gonna change subjects here. So talking about HVAC specifically, and I know actually, let's say just changing subjects. I know Stacy was in the business with you, but how did you actually get into the business in the first place?
Okay, when I was in high school, I was a C&D student. I was lazy, I barely tried. And then I signed up for an architectural class in Votech and drawing and stuff like that. And they waitlisted the class, there weren't enough people. So they said, okay, what's your alternative class? So they called me in the summer and said, okay, what do you want to do? Brother was an electrician, so I didn't want to follow my brother's footsteps. So I was like, well, do HVAC, you always have a job. So I signed up for HVAC class, and literally, first time in my life, a C&D student, I got all A's. I got nothing less than a 95%. After 2 years of VOTEC and everything, I graduated with principal's honor roll. I found something I was good at. And so I told myself, I said, okay, I'm going to give myself 1 year HVAC right out of high school. And if I do well at it, I'll stay doing it. And if I don't, I was going to go in the military. So I had a primary plan and a secondary plan as a backup. And 1 year turned into 5 years, 5 years turned into 10, 10 turned into 20. And then I've been doing that for 36 years. And I'm good at what I do. And like I said, and I like what I do. I have a buddy and everything. He goes, Neil, he said, if you hit the lottery, you would do this for free, wouldn't you? I said, yeah, I would. Because I enjoy what I do. It's not about the money. It's about, fixing problems, dealing with people, teaching people, and I have fun.
Well, one thing I love about you is 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when we first started working together a lot, I don't remember ever seeing you smile. And you're not a huge smiler, but you smile much more now than I have seen ever in the past, which I love. But one thing that you've heard me say this before, one time I can pretty much count on if I'm to see you smile is when you're teaching or coaching someone.
Yeah.
Like you have such a passion to make people better, and I just love that about
Yeah,
you.
it's funny. The guy that taught me and everything, I had a couple good guys that taught me over the years and everything. One taught me the Shimo side, and one taught me the surf side. And both of them, the lesson they taught me and everything is you have to pass it on. That's the only prerequisite they had is once I teach to you, you have to teach to someone else and everything. So that's pretty selfless, right? It's all I got to do. There's no cost and everything. The only cost is to share your knowledge. So that's a cheap price to pay and everything. Somebody sends all their 30 years of knowledge and put it in me, and I'm gonna take my 30 years of knowledge and everything and put it in someone else. So it's an easy price to pay and everything is to share what you learn and everything, and which is easy to me.
So you the next couple questions you've kind of already answered, but I'm gonna ask anyway just to make sure there's not another specific point you want to share at either of them. So I know you're passionate about teaching. Is that what you love most about the industry, or what are some other things outside of that that you really love about the industry?
Things I love about the industry and everything. I love problem solving. So one of my favorite things is HVAC company calls and he said, "Oh, I've had 6 or 7 companies out here. They can't figure out the problem and everything, and they asked me to come out." And so I love a challenge. Is the bigger the challenge, the greater it is, the more I'm interested in anything. My boss told me years ago that at some point in my life, I would like to, have an easy day and not be challenged. To every day of my life, I love to learn. I love to better my knowledge. I love a challenge. So when you have everybody else at work, when they have rough days, they hate it. I love the rougher days. The bigger the challenge, the greater it is, because I like to rise to the occasion. So for me, is the thing that, I enjoy best is the problems that nobody else can figure out. That's inside the box thinking, right? I think outside the box and everything. My brain works different than a lot of people's, and it shows my personality because I'm kind of quirky. My kids call me, funny names and everything because of my personality. But I think outside the box. And
Yeah, when you go home, what do you do for fun when you go home?
I read manuals or read books and try to better myself.
HVAC manuals,
Yeah,
yeah.
and right now I'm trying to read books on cooking and everything because 30 years my wife cooked, and now I'm trying to learn how to cook and be a better cook. And I actually cooked dinner this weekend for Memorial Day for my kids and everything, and that was one of my funnest things because I actually had family dinner while I provided the food and did the cooking for once, which was great for me because I'm constantly evolving. I want to become a better person every day. And in fact, like Mark Matheson said, you always want to get 1% better every day. And that's what I do too. I try to get better as a father, as a grandfather, and as an employee. I try to just better myself. And the one girl I was talking to, she's like, "Doesn't that get exhausting?" I was like, "No, it doesn't get exhausting at all." Because to me, if you're complacent, you're not going anywhere. You're either going forwards, going backwards. You got to go somewhere. If you're complacent and happy where you're at, you're just dead. And like I said, I don't want to be stuck in a rut. So I enjoy doing things.
The reason I'm smiling, I just can't get the thought out of my head, but when you said, you like a challenge, I remember when, probably about a month after you started here, Chris, your son was working here as well. And I remember Chris one day was telling me, he's like, "If you ever want to get Dad to do something, tell him he can't."
Mhm.
He said, "Anytime I want to get out of something, I just tell Dad, you can't do it. And Dad'll prove me wrong."
Oh, exactly. Yeah, no, that's always been, and it's been our far and east trait in our family because my brother and my sister, all of us have been the same way. Is we always rise to the occasion. So my sister's got college degrees, and like I said, in my family, my sister, my brother, they're really smart and everything. So when I always self-deprecating, right? I always say I'm the dumbest one in my family. People, once you meet my family, it's like, "Oh yeah, you got a really smart family." So in my family, yeah, being the dumbest one is not a bad thing because, like I said, everybody in my family is just really bright people and everything.
I haven't shared this with you, but I know you'll agree because you kind of just did. I was talking to Eddie at RD Michael the other day, and he said, we were talking about you obviously, and he said, "Neil obviously is the man when it comes to HVAC." He said, "But his brother John is to electric what Neil is to HVAC." So it sounds like y'all's reputation, not too many people are going to disagree with what you just said.
And it's funny because like I said we just want to give people what we want. Like I said, we want to be the best in the industry and everything because we don't want to shortchange anybody. Brother's just like me too, honest, decent person, and everything, cares a lot. And it's a gift from our mom. Like I said, mom was a single mother raising us 3 kids, and we turned out pretty good. Like I said, she did a lot for us and everything. And one thing she did is, which I try to do to my students, is she instilled confidence in us. And she made us believe that we could conquer the world. And that's what I try to do with when I teach over to college and stuff like that, is instill confidence in people, because if I believe in you, that's half the battle, but I have to get you to believe in yourself. And then once you have that belief in yourself that you can conquer the world, you can. You truly can. When you believe it, you can achieve it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, on the opposite end of the spectrum, so we talked about what you like about the industry.
Yeah.
What are some things about the industry, whether it be the industry itself or competition, but what are some things that drive you nuts with the industry?
2 factors. It's 2 things. One is I'm one of a few things, like how we met and everything. I was the first one to reach across the aisle to bring contractors together and everything, because it's like, why are we competition against each other? Why can't we help each other out and everything and make sure better. So I hate the part of the industry that everybody looks at everybody's competition. It's like, why can't we have some kind of unity? We're helping each other and everything, because like I said, if you fall down and I step on your back and everything, I'm not making myself better and you're not making you better. It's like, why can't I pick you back up and help you up? And then next time I fall down, you help me. So the team and the unity of companies not competing against each other, but helping each other. I've been like that for 13 to 15 years, helping other people out and everything. And they looked at it as, what am I getting out of it, right? It's like to have some kind of ulterior motive. And I'm like, no, I want everybody to get better. There's no ulterior motive with me and everything. It's like I naturally care about other people. So people joining forces and everything, like we did before, helping each other out. I don't know why people don't do that more often. And the second thing is unlicensed contractors in the industry. I've been doing this for 36 years. I got my journeyman's license when I was 18 years old. I got my master's license when I was 27. And I want to be a legitimate contractor, doctors, lawyers, CPAs, right? They go to college, they have to get a CPA exam, they have to pass a test, lawyers have to pass the bar exam, everybody, and they're called professionals. A lawyer is a professional, a doctor is a professional, CPA is a professional. Well, HVAC, we're HVAC professionals, and with that license that you have and other people have, they are professional industries. Well, there's so many people and everything that have businesses that don't have a license. Well, they don't legitimize the industry and everything, okay? They don't have overhead, they don't have a license, they don't have insurance, but then they try to compare apples to apples and say we're equal to them. Are we truly equal? Because we went through the process of testing, getting the license, getting the insurance, training and all that, taking all the classes. I've probably got more hours than anybody that went to college and training classes and everything, but I didn't go to college. Well, I did take some college classes and everything for QuickBooks because that was kicking my butt.
Right.
But other than that and everything, yeah, I didn't go to college, but the education that I got in life and all the training, some of the classes and everything, NCI class was a week-long class, and every class that we take, there's always a test at it to, test your knowledge. So we have a certain level of professionalism in this trade that is getting pushed to the wayside because it's like, with YouTube and all these different things. Well, I can learn on YouTube and I can do this and I can do that. Well, that's great. But the simple fact is they're taking the professionalism out of the industry. We worked hard. I've done it for 36 years and everything, been licensed for, 20 years, and it's a professional trade. And I want to bring the professionalism back in the trade because I train the guys. I teach the guys right and wrong. I teach them ethics. I teach them morals. So it's not just teaching them fixing air conditioner or anything. I have customers I've had for 36 years that give me the key to their house and alarm code because they trust me so much. Is what's wrong with being ethical? What's wrong with being moral? What's wrong with having standards and everything? What's wrong with being professional? What's wrong with being clean cut? What's wrong with paying please and thank you? Why don't we get back to the foundation of what the industry was? It's a professional industry. Be a professional person and everything, like from pulling up in the driveway. I don't have to pull up in the driveway and everything and block the cars in. Like I said, I can park on the street and walk in. What's another 10 more feet for me to walk so I don't, interact with the customer and interfere with them leaving to go to the store or something like that. Putting booties on when we walk in the house and everything, showing pride in what you do, saying please and thank you. After 36 years and everything, I think it's awkward and everything, but I've never used a customer's bathroom in the house or anything because this is their domain, this is their home and everything. And so, like I said, so I do not use their bathroom and everything because that is their home. I respect their home and everything. And whatever door I go in, I go out the same door. I don't open up a bunch of doors in their house so they don't have to go behind me, making sure that the house is locked up when I leave. So if I walk in the front door, I walk out the front door. I have little quirks with me because I want customers to see that we're professional. And that's what the industry has to get back to. The licensing thing, we sent a letter, it was probably 15 years to the state of Maryland about unlicensed contractors. And they sent us a letter back 3 months later. And they said, we appreciate your concern, but the state of Maryland is underfunded and understaffed, and we can't do anything about unlicensed contractors. So it's like, okay, when you're legitimate and you have a license, okay, you don't even get heard of the LLR. They're like, okay, we appreciate your concern, but we're not going to do nothing about it. So how you separate yourself apart and everything is when customers come to your house and everything and do work at your house and everything, ask them if they have a license, ask them if they have insurance, ask them what are the qualifications. Just because they show up in a truck and everything don't mean they're a professional contractor and everything. So ask the questions, ask for references, ask, are you qualified to work on my equipment and everything? And then when they ask me and everything, I have actually a notebook probably 1.5 inch thick of all the classes, certifications, and licenses I have. And if they got a couple hours to look at them and everything, like I said, I can fix the air conditioner faster than it will be to go through all the licensing and qualifications.
Yeah.
So I think it's comical because, like I said, I can prove to a customer my qualifications and everything. and that makes me feel good about myself. And I had been doing it for years, and the difference between me getting my license and not having my license, I had the same knowledge, but it validated me. The state of Maryland validated me that I actually was a professional contractor and I knew what I was doing. And when you renew your license, you have insurance, you renew your insurance, and you become a professional. And that's what customers don't realize. They think we're all equal. Well, that guy that cut your hair, okay, you ever get a bad haircut? Okay, well, you don't go back to that same barber, Yeah, so, but
And they're
that,
not dealing with carbon monoxide, are they?
no, exactly. If you get a bad haircut, it's always going to come back, except for in my case, it's not going to come back.
I was, as you were sharing that, and I'm not going to mention the company's name, and I'm not even going to mention the customer's name, although I think as I describe this, you'll know who I'm talking about. Another contractor who we know has a license number for his company, but he's running that from somebody in another state, right?
Yeah.
We followed a job where they had put a furnace in. We ended up putting one in the addition, and then we actually ended up replacing the furnace in the main house as well. You mentioned NCI. We're talking about carbon monoxide. Can you talk a little bit about that without calling anybody?
Oh
in
yeah,
particular?
yeah. Like I said, it's fun. It's funny because everybody thinks we're all equal. So we got to the customer's house and everything. He's got issues, and within 5 minutes, and everything's like, yeah. I said, this thing's burning terrible and everything. I said, we do a carbon monoxide test on the unit, and it's producing carbon monoxide. So we pulled it apart, and I said, just for happenstance, I said, I guarantee the heat exchanger stopped up with soot. So we pulled it apart, and it was, and it's like, okay. So we started doing the research. And with the carbon monoxide testing that you do for NCI, say, okay, there's a problem with this flue. The flue's either got too many fittings in it or too long a flue. So we started investigating, and the flue went horizontally. It was trapping water, and it had, I think, 13 elbows in it, which was way past what the manufacturer's specifications were. And so we went through, ended up taking the furnace out and everything, replacing the furnace and cutting all the flues out and repiping everything and taking out the roof and improving the situation. And literally the guy has never been happy with the first furnace that was put in, and I think it was less than 5 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I was an unlicensed contractor that rented a license for someone else, and we call them anything. We call them fly by night and everything because they're not professional contractors and everything. Because anybody can borrow somebody's license and rent a license or whatever, and that's the state of Maryland issue, not ours. But yeah, like I said, so the customer had a 5-year lifespan in that unit, which the average gas furnace should last 20 years. So did they get their money's worth? Or were they the cheapest contractor? Possibly. But like I said, you get what you pay for sometimes. So like I said, so we try to go in and problem solve, fix the actual problem and everything. And we don't sell, a unit. Anybody can sell the box and everything. We sell systems. We try to make people happy, solve their problems and everything. And that's what I enjoy. I enjoy the part of, and the guys that think it's funny, it's because I can solve problems over the phone. It's like, how do you know what's going on over the phone? I was like, I don't know. I said, been doing it so long and everything. So
Right. Yeah. So that's one. Then the other one, and then this is not about us beating up on anybody. We want to use this podcast as an opportunity to educate people because sometimes, obviously you don't know what you don't know. I mean, there's different nuances to every industry, right? So that's one that I know Neil and I feel very strongly about is the unlicensed contractor. And again, sometimes it just takes time for people to get a license, and that's okay. Like we help, as we hire new people on day one, we actually help them get licensed. That's part of our onboarding process. And then when they're eligible to take the journeyman's test, we prepare them for that. But another thing that's going on in the industry that we just want to educate people on is you have people like, say bigger companies, for example, like if you look in your local coupon stack, there's always 3 or 4 cheap tune-ups, that these companies they're using it as a way to get in the door. They realize they're not going to make any money if all they come in is just do that. Let's just call it a $59, $69, $79 tune-up, whatever it is, $29, whatever. You've seen the type of tune-ups that are being done. You've taught some of these people that work for these companies because you used to teach at the college, and they've shared with you firsthand what they do, what they don't do. We have mutual friends who have worked for these companies. Actually, one guy who works for us now worked for one of these larger companies, and he shared some stories with us. So we just want to educate. When you talk about people that come in and do these cheap tune-ups, and if they're not licensed, they're not even putting gauges on. Talk about that a little bit. Can they do the job the right way?
well, Well, first of all, in the state of Maryland and everything, the reason why they're not even putting gauges on the unit is you can hire a guy at 18 years old and everything, and if they don't have a license, a journeyman's license, because you're not even supposed to apply the gauges to the unit unless you have a journeyman's license. So since they want to, not break the rules, they actually just take a temperature split and check the unit with a thermometer inside and outside, and the usual 15 to 20 degree split across the unit, and that's what they do. They check the baseline. Well, baseline numbers get you close, but it's not perfection. So I'm real particular about stuff and everything. So I actually want a unit perfect. So when I charge a unit and everything, like I said, I don't guess at it and everything. We actually, use multiple $1,000 worth of tools, gauges, thermometers, and we're accurate as can be. So like I said, so you can go to a house and everything and get it close, okay? And just like I said, that my doctor, and it's like, oh, he did a bypass heart surgery. He was good enough, Well, do you want good enough or do you want the best? And so like I said, so when I taught the best. And some of the guys in class would say, well, my boss doesn't give me enough time to do it right. Well, do you have enough time to do it right, or do you have enough time to go back and redo it? So I was like, I said, I always had a mantra. I said, when guys are working on a unit, how long is it going to be? It takes what it takes. Take the time to do it right the first time, so you never have to go back, because you have one time to impress the customer, do a job right. And that's what's nice about here is I used to run 8 to 10 service calls a day for my company. We run 4 calls a day. We have the time to do it right. If the company doesn't give the other companies out there, don't give their employees the time to do it right, they're never going to do it right. Here, 4 calls a day, 2 hours per call. We have nothing but time to do it right, give the customer the money's worth, and not shortchange us or the customer. Everybody has the opportunity to not be rushed, not be pressured, and do it right. So I'll go to a house and everything, and the customer's like, "Oh, the unit's fine." Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. And I'll put my gauges on the unit and start checking subcool and superheat, and the unit's off by 2 pounds. Well, it can cool, okay, and cool halfway decent and everything, being 2 pounds low on Freon. But when you get the charge right, the unit actually cycles better. It actually runs longer cycles and everything, and it also uses less electricity because it runs less runtime. So customer saves energy, it cools better, and it actually dehumidifies better. So they don't realize. I've had houses and everything that they could never get the customers right. The unit's perfect, and I would change the unit charge by 7 ounces. Okay, 7 ounces seems nominal. It seems fractional rate, and the customers are so tickled to death. And it's like, well, it's never worked this good before. Well, the whole thing about it is, it's not a guessing game. It's a quantifiable game, and that's what I like about the HVAC. It's math and science. 1 plus 1 is 2, right? So you can add up. So in this trade, it's quantifiable numbers. So when guys are like, it's close enough. What do you mean close enough? It's quantifiable. You can actually do the math and do the science and get the units perfect every time. And if you can't get them perfect, that means there's something wrong with the install of the system. It was not installed properly or something like that. So these guys that guess at it with a thermometer or a beer can cold, or, like in the olden days when I came up in the trade, that's a joke, okay? Everything about this trade, and that's what I taught at the college, is these numbers have to add up. There's no gray area in the trade. It's 1 plus 1 is 2. It's quantifiable numbers, it's math, it's science. So, and that's why I deal literally. Me, there's no gray area in my brain.
Right.
So when a guy's like, well, they got it close enough, okay? The heart surgeon, close enough. The CPA, that's close enough. The lawyer is close enough. Well, those all cost you time and money, right? If somebody's a guessing game, he's a professional trades, or if we're a professional, do we want to be close enough, or do we want to be accurate? And so we strive for profession. We try to be professional people, and and that accuracy is what I enjoy, because
The last point I'll make of that, because you've done a great job describing this, but I'm just going to circle back to the coupons, if you will, and we all want a good deal. And we'll run specials every now and then ourselves because we want to keep our people busy, but give great value to our clients. But I'll just give an example. So let's say this one company is charging, let's just say $59 for tune-up, and say we charge $99, so $40 difference.
Yeah.
By what you just described, so maybe 7 ounces, a pound, 2 pounds, just dialing the system in. Maybe it's not even refrigerant, maybe it's an airflow thing, which we adjust all the time because we're the only company in this area that I know of that does static pressure. But every SEER, tell me if you agree with this number. I know I read this in a magazine one time. It's like $10 to $20 per month is like an average difference in your electric bill for every SEER rating. So by adjusting the airflow, adjusting the refrigerant, you can literally save $20 a month in your electricity.
Well, it's even better than that. There's an article, university out down south did a college study and everything of 3,000 homes, and the article is called 3675. And if you actually do the tune-ups right, where you actually get the units charged perfectly, it actually saves the customer $36.75 a month Okay, so it's actually a quantifiable number and everything after the study. It was a 3-year study. So that's over 300, like I said, $300 a year. So if you actually get the unit set up right, it did $36.75 a month in utility savings and extend the lifespan by 7 years.
Yep.
So like I said, so that's what I say, that's what I liked about the study. It was actually a quantifiable number. Like I said, like you had read, it was around $20. Yeah, it was actually $36.75 that was saving the average customer. And so like I said, so our service contract rate is a little bit more than the other companies, but you get what you pay for. So that savings per month service contract that we provide actually pays for itself. Plus you put money in your pocket and it gives a longer lifespan of the equipment. So it's like, okay, so it's a win-win situation. So ever since I read that article in Contractors Business Magazine, I'm like, man, I said, all I gotta do is show the customer that savings of $36.75 a month in the utility bills,
Yep.
make the system run smoother, make it last longer, and how can they say no? Because basically it pays for itself.
Yeah, because I mean, you can save $40 on a tune-up,
Mhm.
but you're going to turn around through the course of a year, give $240 to the electric
Oh, yeah.
company. So
Yeah.
you're going to pay it either way. It's just,
Well, and some of those kids that I taught in class, they were so great at being, coming forward and telling me, it's like, look, they said, yeah, we get out there for $49, but we have to find something wrong. I said, what do you mean you have to find something wrong? He says, well, we have to do 12 miles a day with a thing. So 4 calls a day at $49, so that's $200 a day. Well, they have to make 12 miles a day to make their revenue. So how do they make up the other 1,000? Well, they have to find something wrong. I said, what do you mean have to? Well, we have to find something wrong with the system. It's like, well, if there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong. Oh no, we have to. So it's like almost it leads to, okay, are they finding problems that aren't there? Which we don't believe in. Like I said, we literally can quantify and show the customer with pictures, videos, and checklists and the meters that these are the problems, these are the issues and everything. And then we also give them a choice. Even though we find the problem, don't mean they have to fix it. A lot of companies do scare tactics and everything. Well, if this unit's gonna be doing this, this, and this, you have to fix it. No, everything in life is a choice. You don't have to do anything. Like I said, so we give suggestions to customers. Say, okay, these are your options. Let them have choices and everything. Because with this day and time under COVID, the grocery bill's up 40%, the gas bill's up 30%, mortgage interest rates up to 7%. Okay, we don't know how you're going to spend your money. So instead of forcing you to make rash decisions, we go over your entire system, tell you exactly what's wrong with the system, and then lay out all your choices. And then when you have choices, you can choose A, B, or C. You're choosing how to spend your money. We don't railroad you into making decisions yourself, saying, oh, this is your only option and everything, and you have to do this. No. The scare tactic policy has been going around for years and everything, and it drives me crazy. That's another part of the industry I hate, is why do you have to create fear for a customer to make a decision? I do the opposite. I create education. I educate the customer. I give them all the choices, all their options, all the way down to, if they want to, they can just go to Walmart, buy a window unit for $200 and put it in themselves.
Right.
So they didn't have to spend a dime with us. And like with you, when I had my company and everything, I refer you and they say, you don't want to work? I said, no, if I can't handle your job and get you right away to make you happy, I want somebody that's going to make them happy. So I refer to work to you or someone else, because the simple fact is, I'm trying to solve problems.
Right.
If I can't get out there for 2 weeks and you can get out there tomorrow, I just solved your problem, So everybody thinks that solving the problem and everything has to funnel, through me. No, if everything funnels through me, what happens is all the customers bottlenecking. I can't please anybody, right?
Right.
So like this, so to please the customer and everything, sometimes you have to share customers and everything to make them happy. And that's an important thing.
Well said. So that's a great way to cover all of that. So I think as we wrap this up, you kind of shared some personal things early on, and I appreciate you being willing to share that. If somebody out there right now is maybe considering a career change, maybe they're in a tough spot in life, or maybe just having a defining moment in life, is there anything that you can share? Because not just the technical side, but the life experience you have is tremendous, and I love how much you share and coach our guys. But is there anything that you'd want to share with people?
I've done the HVAC industry for 36 years and I've never been without a job. It's one of the best jobs in the world because, like I said, literally, it's constantly ongoing, it's constantly evolving. In 36 years, I'm constantly learning new things. It never stops learning is number one. But I've never been without a job. So I've never worried about layoffs. I've never about sitting home, not making money. So the simple fact is, if you want an industry, because like when I was teaching at college, I had bus drivers, I had people changing careers, 40-year-old guys changing careers, wanted to learn HVAC because they knew how stable it was. And that's what I can say the best about it is. Is it a hard career? Yes, because it's a lot to learn. You have to learn electrical, carpentry, you have to learn so many other trades to combine to do one trade. But is it rewarding? It's one of the most rewarding careers ever. Like I said, It's great, but you never have to worry about ever having a job the rest of your life.
You go anywhere in the world and have a job in 3 days.
Exactly. Yeah. So and it's transitional because, like I said, if you're in Maryland, it translates to Florida, it translates to Wisconsin, it translates all over the country. So like I said, so it's a rewarding job. It's a great career. Like I said, I had 3 kids, a wife, a mortgage, all this stuff and everything, and the house got paid off doing this career. Like I said, by 52 years old and everything, my house was paid off. So it's been a great career for me and everything. And like I said, and I know I got 15 more years to work. Do I need to work 15 more years? Probably not. Do I want to work? I want to work as long as I can because, like I said, I enjoy what I do.
We're glad. The last question, and we'll wrap this up. So for the homeowners that, maybe they're not looking for a career change, but certainly part of what we do is we want to educate our clients. So we know hot weather's coming. Today is supposed to get to 90 degrees or close to it. Is there any tips you would share with people and things they can do to, number one, avoid, higher electric bills, number two, avoid breakdowns?
The first thing primarily they can do themselves, okay, is the cheapest thing they can ever do is this change your filter on a regular basis and everything. Is every time you pay the electric bill each month, the electric bill is directly related to HVAC. So just pay your electric bill, change your filter. Pay your electric bill, change your filter. So they can do that themselves. That article, the 3675, get maintenance done. If you have not had your system maintained on a regular basis and everything, you don't have to get us out there twice a year, but just do it, once a year or anything, and just get it looked at, make sure it's clean, maintained. Especially in the summertime, people don't realize and everything is that unit can cool the house perfectly, or it can cool it, not as well and everything. And it's the subtleties of that 7 ounces of charge or the coil being clean and stuff like that. And under COVID, people have noticed now more imperfections in their HVAC unit because they would work 10 hours away from home, come back home, spend 4 hours in the house, and then spend 8 hours sleeping. And now, a lot of people are, working from home, teleworking, and they're spending 12, 14, 16 hours in the house. And so these imperfections of indoor air quality, too hot, too humid, things in the house they never noticed before. So we've actually had a lot more customers and a lot more calls with this teleworking than we ever did before, because now if there's something wrong with the house, they're living in the house, so they're available to fix it, where before they had to take off of work because they weren't home and everything, so it would cost them for us to come out. So the teleworking has been kind of bittersweet for them, because they can't leave the home. They're always at the house and everything, so they can't get away from work. But at the same time and everything, they actually see the imperfections in their heating air conditioning system, the hot and cold spots and everything, because now they're in their house 14 hours a day. So getting your units maintained and everything is an important thing. Cutting grass clippings and everything. Don't cut the grass clippings towards your outdoor unit and everything. Cut away from the unit and everything, so you keep that cold clean. Change your filters on a regular basis and everything. And don't block the vents. Like a lot of people, when you say, I don't have my kids at home, they're away at college and everything, so I'm going to shut these vents off. The unit is a constant volume system. It has to move a certain amount of air. So when you start blocking a bunch of vents and everything, you take that constant volume system, and when COVID hit, we had to put these masks on. Well, now you're starting to shut these airflow down, and you're actually putting multiple masks on that unit. So if you can't breathe with that mask on under COVID, these units can't breathe with a dirty filter, and they can't breathe with a bunch of vents shut. So the best correlation that COVID created is now I can relate airflow to these masks and everything, where before people didn't understand. But like I said, just like anything else, we change the tires, we change brakes, and we change oil in our car. We perform maintenance, okay, and we expect the car to last 10 years. We do no maintenance to our HVAC system, and we expect it to last 20 years. So this logically, the car industry has done such a great job of teaching maintenance and Jiffy Lube and Valvoline, all these places and everything. Get the oil change, get brakes, get tires, windshield wipers, okay. The HVAC industry does a terrible job of promoting filter changes, basic maintenance HVAC units, and getting things checked out. But we pay $30,000 to $40,000 for a car, okay, and expect it to last only 10 years, okay, and that's cheap for a car, $40,000. We spend $10,000 for HVAC system and expect it to last 20 years and not do no maintenance to it. Right. So the whole mindset has to change in the industry. You can't just keep running stuff till the wheels fall off and not take care of it. Well, that's the HVAC unit, right? You come in your house and it's hot. It's cold, it's working, but you don't acknowledge it and everything until it breaks down, and then you say it's a piece of junk. Well, that's the same with the car, right? If you didn't change your own car, you didn't put tires on the car, you didn't put brakes on it, and all of a sudden it breaks down on you, the car's not a piece of junk if you don't do the maintenance. Right. The HVAC unit's not a piece of junk if you don't do the maintenance. So we have to have that same correlation in the HVAC industry like we do with the cars and everything, We have to respect maintenance on the car, respect maintenance in the house, respect maintenance of the HVAC unit. It's all correlates, because it all costs money. And sometimes that maintenance and everything's a lot cheaper than replacing it,
Absolutely. Well, you shared a lot, and we appreciate it. So I hope all of y'all watching or listening, got some good value out of this. and you can tell why I'm happy that Neil teamed up. One thing I forgot to share in the beginning that I think after hearing Neil, you can kind of understand this. So we've been very fortunate and blessed the last 3 years to win Best HVAC Company and Best Place to Work. Well, that was 2020 through 2022. The year prior to that, Neil, with two other, his son and one other guy working for him, won it. So now we're under the same roof. So really the last 4 years running between the two of us, we've been Best Place to Work, Best HVAC Company, and not just the two of us. We have a tremendous team around us.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful to have you here teaching them now and not just making them better in HVAC, but making them better in life. So thank you for everything
Well,
you
thank
do.
you so much.
And we really appreciate you all joining us. And again, if you ever need anything at all, please give us a call, 410-414-3278, or check us out on the website, fixedrightandguaranteed.com. Have a great day.
Thank you.